Hey everyone, my name's Nikos and welcome back to the channel. Lethal Company V50 just dropped. Last fall is when I hopped in game with my friends for the first time, and although new features and content just arrived, it still maintains that nostalgic, cozy feeling that I remember when I first started. Not to mention it doubles down on the chaos.
What just happened? What? These things. Everybody run across the bridge.
But what I've been wondering is why I get such a welcoming feeling from this strange, eerie game. I mean, look at it. It looks like someone hastily hand draws every frame of the game in real time as you play. It's like the Breaking Bad Mexico filter got put over the whole game, and then it got thrown in an air fryer in the middle of Chernobyl Reactor 4, right next to the elephant's foot. And I love it. Then it gets even better when you get to witness the ear-pleasing soundscape. Quite a few months ago, I made a couple lore videos on this game too, and with the release of the new update, I wanted to further explain the secluded story of Lethal Company, alongside the game's aesthetic that we've come to appreciate despite its lack of fidelity. As modern graphics budgets bloat to recreate lifelike worlds at the detriment of game performance, Lethal Company embraces minimalism and captures lo-fi nostalgia, managing to build a highly powerful and engaging tone. This is one of my favorite styles of art in video games, and even in music. A mix between lo-fi and minimalism. While these two may seem like the same thing, lo-fi styles typically incorporate lower quality tools or recordings or art, while minimalism is more about, well, nothing. Or moreover, the lack of activity and embrace of more subtlety, so to speak. This game has a severe lack of detail, so at times your brain and imagination are called up to fill in the gaps. It's honestly pretty awesome and calls you forth to help finish the painting. This game carries its graphics from an era of human history that has been dubbed by historians as the Age of the Bop-It. In previous videos, I've compared the graphics of this game to PlayStation games. As you can tell, polygons are in short supply, and at a distance, I can't even tell what I'm looking at. Is it a friend? Is it gonna kill me? The answer to both those questions is yes. This is partially also accomplished by the filter built into every crewmate's goggles. Sharp black outlines and grainy fog obscure vision even further. If you turn this filter off using mods, the game is far clearer. Although, now that I have 2020 vision, I feel like this kind of subtracts from the overall feel of the game. The newest moon added in V50 carries this same lo-fi feeling. It's a forest moon with a valley in the center, alongside a couple bridges. One is rickety, likely made of styrofoam, and collapses with even minimal weight applied to it. The other is a shattered metal parkour jump. This one also falls apart if you sneeze on it, so be careful. These bridges offer a quick shot straight to the entrance, as opposed to the grueling walk up and down the valley that is often beset by baboon hawk troops and giants. If you want to get out with a lot of loot in the later hours of the day, you must work as a team and play smart as you haul heavy equipment through the hazardous valley. One key feature of this new moon is the new additions to the wildlife. Baboon hawks have been reworked, stealing loot and bringing it elsewhere, but at the cost of fortitude, taking far fewer hits with a shovel to down. This makes Adamants feel somewhat like a first-person shooter as the sun goes down. A new creature also entered the game, tulip snakes. With the new update, these guys are found on the other moons, but are very common on Adamants. These snake-bird combo meals leap onto players and attempt to carry them off with their wings. Get multiple of them on you, and you'll take off. This is useful for grand escapes in desperate situations, but also could result in death by gravity, so, roll the dice. Why do they lift players? Well, apparently lifting heavy objects is part of their mating rituals, which I guess also applies to humanity. I feel as if this vibrant moon could have been in the game at launch. It fits so well with the other ones in style and design. This is something not usually seen in game updates that add some pretty absurd, wildly different levels and features to try to draw players back. The cohesiveness between the updates of this game help maintain Lethal Company's mysterious narrative. So this moon carries over the same lo-fi style graphics that are reminiscent of Unreal or even the first Half-Life game. But even further, the maps themselves in Lethal Company are barren. Aside from trees and rocks, the top side is very vacant, and the interiors match the top side as there's not a lot going on here too. Perhaps the most striking example of this vacant emptiness is one of the new secret moons made available in version 50. I'm just gonna say there's gonna be a spoiler warning for the secret moon, so skip to the timestamp if you don't want it ruined for you. Embryon. The planet's surface is made entirely of solid amethyst. A stark, lone monolith of a facility beckons for crewmates to dive in, but it's a long, 1,000-yard stare of a walk past statues of still machines, silently waiting to wake at a moment's notice. The reason Embryon doesn't appear on the ship computer's moon list is that it's been condemned for being highly dangerous to human life. According to the bestiary, this desolate, distant moon appears to have been a testing ground for these robots and their rocket boosters. These machines, known as old birds, kill anything that moves, using a collection of fun party tricks for the whole family, including grabbed by claw and cooked alive, and my personal favorite, exploded by an absurd amount of undodgeable missiles. From the moment you step foot on this purple moon, the solemn, intimidating atmosphere overtakes you. Not to mention the ambient music is just pretty dreary. The bots wake from their sleep around noon, so get in, loot, and get out fast. The moon's description states that no biological life lives on the moon, but for some reason this is untrue because giant worms and giants and more live here. Though this is probably a glitch or oversight, they do come out at night, but they probably shouldn't. I don't really know. Regardless, get to enjoy watching a PvP battle royale experience whenever you leave at night. But if you want to survive, make sure you bring a jetpack. The bestiary further describes the old bird as an autonomous 19 by 11 foot wide war machine. The first recorded appearance of an old bird was on December 18th, 2143. 50 old birds assaulted the Anglian capital. Later, the Anglian Empire collapsed after their conflict with the Bumok military throughout the 2100s, and the assault on the capital is said to be one of the significant events that led to the Empire's downfall. Additionally, the old birds seem to have mystified culture, inspiring a hit song of the same name by the post-punk band known as Under Remora. I wonder if we'll get to hear it soon. It was in 2356 when 5 Embryon was condemned from human travel, and with that, not only is this perhaps the longest bestiary entry of all time, but it actually reveals a lot about the lore that we previously didn't know about, including the fact that there were 2 competing space empires that were supposedly in a form of arms race or conflict. Additionally, we know that the game definitely takes place past the 2356 mark. This means 2 things. First of all, Sigurd is extremely ancient, or dead at this point. But more depressingly is that the entire lore of this game, apparently the company has existed for hundreds of years. Perhaps 400 plus at this point, considering Sigurd and his friends were around in 1968. And this means that the great cosmic beast that is chained up in the company building is perhaps even older at this rate. Now this gets even more interesting, as if the beast has been around for over 400 years and the company has been operating non-stop to feed it, who knows how many lives were lost to the company at this rate. And even further, with evidence of the famines and economic collapse going on, as well as the fact that we're using the same terminal and ship that Sigurd and his friends used, it is very likely at this rate that technology has stagnated alongside the economy. How long could humanity possibly keep up their efforts to keep the beast tamed at this rate? A polar opposite to Embryon, 68 Artifice, is an outlier amongst the Lethal Company moons. Another secret moon, this one another forest world. The ship lands just outside of a complex of facilities. Each of these warehouses are arranged in a perfect grid and offer a lot of clues to the story of this abandoned universe. One garage contains a decaying medical ward. Another is full of blinding fog. These storehouses have functioning gates. Old birds are very common on this map, though not quite as common on the Amethyst Hellmoon we just covered. Crewmates can utilize these garages to trap old birds in a pinch by pulling the garage door levers and ditching out a side door. The ship's description of this moon is perhaps the most telling of all the moons in game, and it better be considering it costs 1,500 credits for a parking pass there. The complex of Artifice dates back hundreds of years and was used to develop classified military technology. Many pieces of this technology have been found on the surface, and perhaps this is where the old birds were created before being shipped around the galaxy into Embryon for rocket testing. Without a doubt, it is likely more research and development occurred in these silent facilities. We could hypothesize that these facilities were used by one of the major empires mentioned earlier, and perhaps even the coil heads, machine gun turrets, and landmines are developed on this moon. Although most bizarre is the manor in the map. Although these manors turn up on other moons, it feels out of place here amongst the warehouses. Perhaps it's a form of furnished government office, meant for military contractors and officials to meet in luxury to talk shop. In a strange twist, there is a lot going on this moon, and for Lethal Company standards, it tells a far greater story that still yearns for more answers. How does Artifice connect to the overall story and the beast locked up in the company? Why is a terminal command that sets ship travel to the planet inscribed on the wall of the cabin in Adamance? Who wrote it there, and why? The fact these questions remain unanswered also helps build on the already unnerving tone created by the art style. Minimalism dominates the storytelling of this game as much as it does the sounds and graphics. The storytelling of this game is as sparse and bare as the rest of it. It seems unlikely we will be receiving any explanation or an endgame anytime soon. Speaking of moons, the Arctic moon of Dine has undergone a complete rework. The surface is full of cliffs and can experience rainy conditions, producing enough slush puddles to drown you and up to 3 of your friends. The biggest change is that Dine is overrun by a new indoor threat, butlers. These butlers stalk players, sweeping around trying to act mighty innocent. But if you are caught isolated by one, they will shank you like a true Brit. Upon death, these meat puppets burst into deadly hornets that wander the interior hallways and try to chew you apart. The butlers lack eyes and are described to smell like rotten meat.
Like I tried.
Look what I did to you, bro. Look, I'm painting the floor.
It's very bloody.
It appears Sigurd first encountered these creatures and created the log for the first time on these guys. They appear to be zombies of some kind, puppeted by the hornets that buzz around inside of their rotting corpses. Very bizarre creatures indeed.
Is it
We gotta talk about the new opening cutscene. With version 50, Lethal Company added this new cutscene, which is partially playable, where you can look around the room, as you could see I just did in this footage. It is, much like the rest of the storytelling in this game, incredibly cryptic and has prompted tons of fan theories. The only concretes we know are it's perhaps in the month of October, and we see a coil head seated on a bench of some sort. The coil head breaks loose amidst a ton of commotion that appears to have been caused by some sort of battle or attack of some kind. It's not known where this facility is or who runs it. It is perhaps likely that this event was due to a clash between the Bumok and Anglin armies that we mentioned earlier. There is not a lot of concrete evidence here. And the most striking event here is the glowing door that opens in the wall at the very end of the cutscene. There is no reasoning or explanation behind why this event occurred. It is quickly beginning to seem that after 500 years the company has existed, humanity is not just stagnating, but perhaps reversing course, quickly going extinct. Moons and settlements galaxy-wide are slowly being abandoned, empires are falling, and populations are shriveling up as technology recedes into the Dark Ages. It's a heavy price paid to keep the beast satiated and imprisoned. This very well could be the end of times in Lethal Company's universe, and perhaps the drill, or whatever that device that is meant to target the company building and perhaps the beast inside, is humanity's final act of defiance.
Quick run. Quick hot potato. There it goes.
Oh, there he goes. I think you killed him.
Did I?
You killed him.
That's fucking amazing. It worked exactly as planned.
Checking the game credits, it can be seen that much of the sounds are stock sound effects. There's also not a lot of variety in them as well. Dropping an object plays the same metal pipe-stout wave effect each time. Between this and the ambient sound effects, Lethal Company doubles down on its lo-fi atmosphere. At the same time, some of the sounds on display are genuinely creepy. My favorite part of the soundscape of Lethal Company are the ambient sound effects. Lethal Company has a built-in sanity mechanic. As crewmates lose sanity, they will begin perceiving eerie ambient noises more and more. This insanity can be induced by spending long periods of time indoors with no friends nearby. Quite literally, being a loner can drive you up a wall. Echoing laughter, the creaking of doors, the dropping of scrap metal, all of this in the midst of dark hallways and total silence can have players feeling a bit jumpy, fully anticipating a bracken or something to leap out and end their entire career. Perhaps the least discussed part of Lethal Company is the game's soundtrack. That's probably because there isn't much of it, to be fair. However, new music rolled out with the update, adding to the piano-laden soundtrack even further. The ambient tracks that play throughout the surface regions of the moons are cascades of distorted grand pianos. They meander on in indeterminate tones, never resolving or even seemingly starting. These tracks just are. They're as empty and hollow as the game's atmosphere and fit the darker, hopeless feeling of this game. Though at least the piano is somewhat a familiar instrument and doesn't fully drag players down. Considering everything can kill you in the blink of an eye, these tracks kind of give me "it is what it is" vibes. It kind of sounds like waking up at 6 a.m. every morning for a dead-end job as you clutch desperately to your smoke breaks. These dreadful tones reach hollowed out in the Eclipse track. Alien lighting and extremely hostile conditions accompany my favorite ambient piece in the game. It's as if the world is frozen in time as the ambient drones roll on. Now we T-bone this tone with a clown car and immediately whiplash the tone into the realm of chicanery. The boombox, full of non-stop bangers as long as you keep it charged, matches the comedic, upbeat, absurd atmosphere that lives parallel to this low-budget, retro horror feel. A ton of the loot is pretty hilarious in game too. The noises these things make are effective at throwing a sledgehammer at the anxiety of new players. As I described in my video on Solo Lethal Company, going in alone is anxiety-inducing. But seriously, you'll forget how eerie this game is as long as you got friends around. Between the ambient music, lo-fi sounds, and deep-fried graphics, Lethal Company perfectly captures a desolate, eerie tone with next to no budget, even into version 50. Although we know more about the story, it still remains highly secretive. I wonder if an endgame will ever arrive, or if perhaps the drill underneath the company building docks will finally be granted a purpose. I guess we'll just have to see. Thank y'all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Special thanks to the patrons and channel members. Y'all are the best. Thanks for supporting this channel even further. Alright, see ya. What the hell is that? I'm out. What is that? What is that? Hazard level A? Huh? Oh, by state.